Welcome everyone, I'm Kingly Valence, and thanks for watching this Spore Speedrun. This is Spore, completed from cell stage to the center of the galaxy in 34 minutes and 43 seconds on normal difficulty. This run saves over 10 minutes from our previous normal full game speedrun, as a lot of new strategies and optimizations have been found over the years. In cell stage, we chose to become an herbivore cell, as there's usually more plant pieces than meat right at the start of cell stage on normal. This run was also performed live on YouTube with live commentary and facecam if you'd like to check out that version as well. What's really cool with OBS, we were able to record the speedrun locally without including the facecam and live commentary. That way for this video, we could see the whole run without the livestream elements covering up the gameplay. This was done using the Source Record plugin for OBS that I set up to record just the raw gameplay and timer for a clean recording of the speedrun. And I'll link the Source Record plugin in the description if you'd like to use this as well. Back from the cell editor, we've added the carnivore mouth as well to become an omnivore. We want to finish cell stage in the omnivore range on the timeline, going into creature stage. Thankfully the timeline is fairly generous to keep us in the omnivore range, even if we eat slightly more plants than meat. For this speedrun, we don't need to become a specific archetype in space stage to reach the center of the galaxy. This allows us more flexibility on how to finish each of the first 4 stages in Spore. We're going to finish cell stage in the omnivore range on the timeline, since being omnivore is not only the best for cell stage as we can eat any food we come across, but also being omnivore will unlock us the summon flock for creature stage, which is the best creature stage ability for the speedrun. But during cell stage, we need to collect the jet and cilia parts. These booster cells are the first opportunity to unlock the jet part, but here on normal difficulty, they can sometimes be aggressive and not let us bite them. We don't need to get the jet part right away, we'll get more opportunities later. But we do want to get the cilia as fast as possible. We got a hit on this punky cell, and normally they can just swim away too quickly, but they're heading right into this plankton, and we got them. And we got the cilia part too. Dodged the giant stabber cells and eat some more plants, and we made it into the next part of cell stage. Column 8 as soon as we grow and enter the next cell editor. Here we can put the cilia on our cell and head back into the tide pool. I'd say the jump in difficulty from easy to normal is less than from normal to hard difficulty. The normal difficulty speedrun route is fairly similar to the easy run, but we'll see a few differences throughout the speedrun since the game is a bit tougher than on easy. On normal, the cell stage food is a bit more sparse, and the other cells are more aggressive. This nosy cell is another opportunity to get the jet part. Now just finish eating the plant pieces before the stabella cells do, and moving on into the next portion of cell stage. We can keep eating this same plant as we grow, and the other small cells nearby. We got a couple good hits on the ducky cell. We've eaten a lot of plant pieces, so it's good to get some more meat chunks. We're still trying to make sure we balance between the plants and meat. These cells aren't being very cooperative, and it's not really worth battling them, especially if we don't have the spike part on us. So we're going to move on and hopefully find some more food elsewhere. And we just needed one more piece of food to reach the next part too. These squiggly cells are usually pretty easy pickings too, and the needle buzzy cells are usually pretty aggressive and leave a lot of meat lying around. Yeah, there's a lot of meat here for the taking. We got the poison part. We don't really need it, but now we can get all of this meat for free. We'll hopefully get all of it before the needle buzzy cell gets us too, and moving on into the next part of cell stage. And thankfully we've already gotten the jet part unlocked, as this is usually where we would get the jet part from the blue jetster cells. The jetster cells are pretty easy to bite on their side, and they will slowly turn around, and we can get a second bite on them in time. Scouting around for some more food. This cell stage has been going pretty well so far. Just looking around for a bit more food while this junior cell is chasing us, and that jetster knocked the plant away from us. We're getting pushed by the maw trying to get this larger plant piece. This junior is still on us. They really don't give up. Maybe we can eat and heal quickly before they attack us again. Oh, and we're dead. But that's fine, we respawn next to even more food, and we only needed one more piece again to get the next upgrade. But that still gives us a lot of plants to eat. On normal, the junior eggs hatch a little faster than on easy. All the junior cells are hatching, and they got us surrounded. No, not the proboscis. Oh, and we're dead again. Almost to the end of cell stage, just need a little bit more food, and we'll head into creature stage. One more plant piece, and we can get another egg. There's the progress bar complete, and heading into the early creature editor. Hold control on the keyboard to separate the legs to make arms and legs. Add the jet part, and move into creature stage. Since this was live, I didn't want the loading screen music to claim the broadcast as well, So I moved my mouse off screen and clicked off the game. Playing Spore in windowed mode and clicking off the game will fade out the sound for Spore. Not sure why Spore does this, but it's a good way to mute the game for a second, since I didn't want to turn off all the music for Spore just to avoid this loading screen. And like always, the timer is paused during these loading screens, and here in the loading screen, less than 5 minutes is pretty good for normal. Starting creature stage, and we have the Summon Flock ability, which means we did end cell stage in the Omnivore range. Heading over to the first nest we're going to ally, and we can activate the Summon Flock. This nest with the level 0 creatures only have level 1 Sing, so our creature plus our Summon Flock overperforms the other creatures, and this will give us a DNA bonus for exceeding halfway on the social meter. We can also do this cool trick where we walk past the creature, press 1 then space on the keyboard, and that activates the Simon Says right away. This skips the animation where our creature needs to walk up and bark at the other creature, then press 1 then space again, and our extra singing power immediately fills the social meter. Face away and call our mate, then jump, and that will instantly bring us into the editor. Going into the editor, we're going to sell off most of our cell parts, and we're going to put on the Sing level 2. We're also going to put on the combat and the social parts. We're going to leave the combat parts on our right limbs, as we're going to be combat focused during the second part of creature stage. Leaving the combat parts on the right limbs will prioritize them to be upgraded over the social parts. Looks like we don't have the spit level 2 part I usually go for, but that's okay. We can use the spit level 1 part and also gives us a little health bonus, so that should be useful a little later. But we also put on the charm 2 and the wings. So in the first part of creature stage, we socialize the first 2 nests, and now during the second part of creature stage, we're going to find 3 more nests to socialize. After we get our pack mate, we'll head on over and try to find some level 1 creatures. Those first 2 nests we were socializing earlier were level 0 creatures. We can use the pause launch trick to get some fast movement. Now we are looking for the next level 1 creatures. Even on normal difficulty, these level 1 creatures don't recruit the other creatures nearby to help socialize with them. So now we have a 2-on-1, and we can also activate our Summon Flock creatures to help us socialize with this nest. Looks like we got 3 Summon Flock creatures, so we got a 5-on-1 on these creatures. The Summon Flock can summon between 3 and 5 creatures. I think it's just random what it chooses, but 3 should be plenty for this part of creature stage. Not sure if maybe we got unlucky, or maybe normal difficulty, they evolve a little bit faster, but these are all level 2 creatures, so we're going to have to do a little bit more searching to find more level 1 creatures. There's another level 2 creature, kinda looking around for more level 1s. These level 2 creatures will recruit their friends to help socialize with them, so they'll probably outperform us and keep us from allying them. But we also need to keep allying level 1 creatures anyway, to make sure we get the part upgrades we need. Here's some more level 1 creatures. We're still trying to socialize 3 different nests during this part of creature stage. And with each nest having 2 alphas per nest, this will give us 6 parts to upgrade. And that's why we wanted to prioritize unlocking the combat parts, as we put 8 total parts on our creature in the last editor. Since we don't need pose and dance upgraded, keeping the social parts on our left limbs, they'll be upgraded last so we don't unlock them. Here's our last nest to socialize for this part of creature stage, and it fills up this part of the progress bar. There we go, there's our next upgrade, so now we're into the third part of creature stage, but we're going to finish up allying this nest just for a little bit of extra DNA, and to make sure we get all the parts we need. There we go, we got the spit upgrade as well. Here are some angry level 2 creatures, we'll probably come back for them after our next mate. In here we have another one of our nests. We were going more inland, as it's much faster than going all the way back onto the coastline to our first original nest. So we're going to use the same trick here, we face away and call a mate, and it brings us right into the editor. We're going to put on the bite level 2, because we're going to be combat focused, so we want the strength level 3 and charge level 3 parts, and the spit level 2 that also has the health bonus, and that will help us fight a little later. And see, we didn't unlock the pose and dance, because they seem to be prioritized last if we leave them on the left limbs. Exiting the editor, we'll get our next pack mate. Leaving our nest here, we're going to sprint away instead of doing the pause launch trick, since the pause launch trick won't make our pack mates sprint after us. So we might be able to find another nest to fight really quickly, but this will leave our pack mates in the dust and make them take forever to catch up, and actually put us in danger if we start fighting alone. So just sprinting away will make them sprint with us, so maybe we'll find another nest a little slower, but because the pack mates are following us really closely because they're sprinting, we can actually extinct the entire nest faster than if we were doing the pause launch. Every time we leave the editor, we also refresh the Summon Flock cooldown. We get different creatures each time we use the Summon Flock. There is a strategy here where we save and quit to build our own Summon Flock creatures. It is potentially faster, so maybe we'll start doing that in future runs. Our sprint does take a little bit to return, so I'm going to use the pause launch trick just a little bit to scout out any nearby nests. Make sure not to go too far, to allow the other creatures not to fall too far behind. But I know they're pretty close, so it won't take them too long for them to catch up. Yep, there they are. But yeah, if we went too far with the pause launch trick, it would take them a really long time for them to catch up. But our pack mates here were able to catch up pretty quick. We want to fight 4 different nests in this part of Creature Stage. So far in Creature Stage, we allied the first 2 nests, then we socialized with 3 more nests in the second part of Creature Stage. Now in the third part of Creature Stage, we are fighting these level 2 creatures. Socializing is a little bit slower because they will recruit their backup dancers to do the Simon Says. We can also fight during the meteorite event that comes around this time, so we wouldn't be able to socialize during this time as well. So it's faster to fight these creatures during this part, while they're all distracted from the meteorite. Thankfully our summon flock creatures and our pack mates aren't distracted, so we can fight all of these creatures with a 7-on-1 right here. This fighting's going pretty fast. These creatures were angry with us when we found them, that's why they have a 40 DNA bonus for their extinction. So this is a really good nest to find right now, especially during the meteorite. We got 3 out of the 5 creatures from this nest so far. The meteorite also scatters the other creatures, so we'll be able to pick them off one at a time. Even though they're able to fight back now, we still have the advantage. Looking for more alphas to fight, to make sure we get more upgrades. There's another nest extinct, and it looks like our summon flock is done right as we finished. The summon flock will stay with us for 2 minutes. The entire recharge time of the summon flock ability is 6 minutes. So when the recharge time is about 1/3 on the summon flock icon, our summon flock creatures will be finished. Now here's a rogue, that's actually perfect for this part of Creature Stage. They're worth 100 points, and we can socialize with them really quickly. We would normally extinct 4 different nests during this part, or we can swap one of those out for allying this rogue. We want to make sure we end in the adaptable range on the timeline out of Creature Stage, which means we need to make sure we balance the number of social points and combat points throughout the stage. Since we entered Creature Stage in the middle of the timeline since we were Omnivore out of Cell Stage, we want to make sure to be about even on social and combat DNA points throughout Creature Stage to make sure we stay in the middle of the timeline for adaptable as well. Being adaptable out of Creature Stage will give us the faster spaceship in Space Stage. We'll get about 300 points socializing those first 5 nests, then with that rogue is about 400 social points. And we'll get about 500 combat points, and then 75 neutral migration points, so that makes it about even social and combat points throughout the stage. Now we're just heading straight towards our next migration. We can use the pause launch trick since we don't need to wait for our pack mates to catch up. We're actually going to get our 3rd pack mate here since we have our 3rd pack mate slot available. This far into Creature Stage, the spaceship could arrive. We want to get our pack mate here before we enter the editor. That way we make sure we get our 3rd pack mate in time. Then we can go into the editor and upgrade all of our combat parts. We can add the strike level 4, the charge level 4, and the spit and health level 3 part. Now we're on to the last part of Creature Stage, and we want 3 more encounters. We are still combat focused, so we are going to extinct 3 different nests, or maybe ally another rogue if they appear. We'll head west on the minimap towards our next nest. Looks like this nest is the same species as that other rogue we allied earlier, that's why this nest is already allied, which is kind of funny to see. But these aggressive level 2 creatures are perfect for this part of Creature Stage, since we still need to fight 5 creatures for this nest, and each creature is worth about 10 DNA points. And the extinction bonus is still worth 40 DNA points because they were already angry with us when we arrived. That's 90 total DNA points for the nest. And if we can get 3 different nests, all worth 90 DNA points, that would definitely finish our Creature Stage with the last migration bonus. Creature Stage takes 1000 DNA points to complete, and on the progress bar, we can see each one of those bigger bars represents 100 DNA points worth of progress. The first evolution marker is right at 100 points, then there's a little bar at the next 100, and then at 300 points we have the next upgrade. So from here, we can see we only have 2 bars left, so we only have 200 more DNA points to go. And here's another really good aggressive level 2 creature, so knowing that these aggressive level 2s are worth about 90 points to extinct, so we can use the progress bar markers and knowing how many points we should get per nest to make sure we have enough points to finish the stage. I've been working with an Excel sheet to see what's the most optimal way to finish Creature Stage, to make sure we don't way overshoot our 1000 points, and to make sure we don't end up a few DNA points short to finish the stage. So it's all mapped out to find this route, where we ally those first 2 early creatures, then 3 more socializations, then the 4 combat encounters, or swapping out for allying a rogue, then finishing up with these last 3 combat encounters, with 2 migrations is a perfect amount to finish Creature Stage. I see the spaceships here, And even though these are very aggressive level 3 creatures, I figure the spaceship's here and distracting them, so that might be a pretty good time to fight these creatures. Maybe using the summon flock here could have been more useful, but we have our 4 total creatures with our level 4 strike, and they're not fighting back, so this should still go pretty quickly. Looking around, hopefully there are 7 creatures for us to fight. I'm trying to encourage our pack mates to charge and use their strike on them, to make sure they do as much damage as possible. Looks like this guy's attacking us. Maybe the spaceship has moved slightly far enough away. Oh no, the spaceship's still here to take them away. I thought it would have enough creatures to fight here, but it looks like we only got 4 out of 7, so unfortunately we couldn't extinct this nest. That probably would have been enough to finish creature stage if we found all 7 creatures, along with the last migration bonus. When we arrive at our last nest, we get 50 more points, but that gets us super close to the end. So if we did find the rest of those creatures, that probably would have finished creature stage. But we'll have to find 1 more nest, and then we'll be able to finish the stage. Just need a few more creatures to make it to the end. These guys are also pretty aggressive, but I'm going to call the summon flock, since we don't have the benefit of the spaceship anymore. I'm going to risk it here, and oh, that's a lot of damage from that guy. Let's just back away slowly. We're super close to the end of creature stage. We just need to survive. Just get a couple more kills to finish the stage. We basically have to pretend like we won't die in these creature stages and just risk it all. If we die, then we'll basically just reset the speedrun anyway. But there we go, we survived and we finished creature stage. That was a bit of a close one, but as long as we survive, it doesn't matter. In the last creature editor, we didn't get any level 5 feet, but that's still okay. We'll stick to our level 4 feet going into tribal stage. And about 16 minutes into this tribal stage loading screen out of creature stage is pretty good for on normal. We're on pretty good pace here. And once again, the timer pauses during these loading screens. So we just have to wait for the loading screen to complete, and we'll go right into tribal stage. It's funny, once the creature cards start appearing, the loading screen is just on a timer we have to wait for. Starting tribal stage, we immediately want to go into the editor and add the level 3 social and level 3 gathering gear. This will allow us to gather up to 8 food at a time, and adds a little bit of extra speed to our performance meter when we're allying the other tribes. We're going to be fully social and ally all the other tribes for this tribal stage. And we're going to do our classic baby clone trick as soon as the baby hatches, but before the egg laying animation disappears. We can switch the graphics effects, and that will restart the egg laying animation and make another egg come out for free. All we have to do is buy the first baby, then we get the other 2 babies for free. Unfortunately, we can't have infinite babies. The egg will keep coming out if we reset the animation again, but we can only have as many babies as we actually have slots on our tribal list. But this will actually be all the tribe members we need to complete the stage. And I'll show a trick on how not to unlock more instruments, or any more baby slots to make this tribal stage go even faster. Just watching our tribe members gather, making sure they don't get stuck on a plant. There we go, 3 deposits of food is enough to buy our wooden horns, and we're going to give our 2 adult tribe members their instruments, and we'll head over to where the first tribe usually spawns, which is down here in the southern part of the minimap. So I'm going to have them head over early, give them a bit of a walking head start, and then we'll start to ally them immediately. Wait for our babies to grow, and we'll give them their instruments, and have them start gathering while our 2 band members and the chieftain perform for the tribe from neutral to friendly. We can actually perform without looking at our tribe members. As long as they are selected when we need to use our instruments, we can listen to the song play in the background, and as long as we select the right instrument players and press 1 on the keyboard, then we'll still have them play their instrument even though we're not looking at them. We can get our new adult tribe members their instruments and have them gather. I want to make sure we get our 3rd band member over to the other tribe before we start the next performance, so we can begin to ally. We can technically ally them with only 2 band members and the chieftain, but it's a bit risky. This is actually one of the bigger differences on normal difficulty compared to easy. On easy, this 6-member tribe, the other rival tribe members will only ask for 1 or 2 instruments at a time. But on normal, they'll ask for 2 or 3 instruments at a time. So if they ask for 3 instruments too many times, and if we only have 2 instrument players, we won't be able to fill the performance meter, and we won't be able to ally the tribe. So it took just a few extra seconds to allow our 3rd tribe member to arrive to guarantee that we ally this tribe. And as soon as we fill the performance meter, save with Ctrl and S on the keyboard and immediately right-click the ground, with all the performing members selected. This trick will interrupt the allying sequence, where we save after the tribe is allied, but before we unlock any instruments, since we unlock the new instruments during the cutscenes, which happen immediately after we ally the tribe. But since we have a save between the alliance and before the cutscenes occur, when we come back in the game, there's now nothing to trigger the cutscenes to appear, so we never unlock anything. So we can just stick to having our wooden horns. We do only get 6 tribe members since we prevent the unlock of more tribal slots. But this is fine, because we can ally the next tribes with only these tribe members. But since we don't unlock any new instruments, we don't have to buy any more, so we can just go straight to the next tribe with our wooden horns. Another slight difference from easy difficulty, on normal difficulty, every tribe from here will at least be angry with us. On easy, one of the tribes will still be neutral, but each of these tribes will need a gift first before we can ally them. That's another slight difference for normal difficulty. And these 3 tribe members with their instruments here also guarantee that we can ally these 9-member tribes. These 9-member tribes will also only ask for 2 or 3 instruments at a time. So now that we have our 3 instrument tribe members, we'll definitely be able to ally all these tribes without risking not being able to match the number of instruments they request. You can technically also ally these 9-member tribes on normal with only 2 instrument players, but it's also pretty risky. They have to only ask for 2 instruments at a time 4 out of the 5 times during the performance. But with our 3 instrument players, we can always match the 2 or the 3 instruments they request. It feels like a 50% chance whether they request 2 or 3 instruments at a time, so needing 4 out of the 5 requests to be only 2 instruments is pretty risky. But I'll play it safe here, make sure we have our chieftain plus 3 tribe members playing to make sure we get the alliance. Hopefully the tribe over there takes down that epic, or the epic wants to leave before we arrive, because we're heading right over there right after we ally this tribe. We'll do the same saving trick here. We'll save and right-click the ground with our performing members selected. Then we'll quit without saving, go back to the main menu, and then load back up the game. This once again will interrupt the ally sequence, so we have a tribe that's allied, but now nothing to trigger the cutscene so we don't unlock anything. So we only keep our wooden horns unlocked, and we can head straight to the next tribe, which will be the pink tribe up here. Hopefully we can avoid this epic. Thankfully the rest of the tribe isn't fighting the epic. We're taking a pretty good path here, starting from Brown Tribe and heading north to minimize the walking distance. With our other tribe members available, we're going to give Cyan, so they're neutral with us and ready to be performed to by the time we're done with Pink Tribe. Thankfully the epic is now leaving. I like to gift their food pile, it's usually pretty consistent. Gifting their food pile does only make them temporarily neutral. If you gift one of the other tribe members directly, that'll keep them neutral forever. But since we're going to ally them pretty much immediately, we don't need to wait for them to gift the other member directly, and it's a little easier to gift the food pile. We're going to ally them right away, and Cyan should get their gift any second here. We also want to make sure they gift Cyan before we finish the ally sequence, because sometimes when we do the save and quit trick and come back in, they sometimes forget what they're doing and forget that they're gifting, and they'll lose their gifting immunity and the other tribe will attack them, and that can really mess up the tribal stage portion of this speedrun. So we want to make sure that if we're going to gift another tribe while we're performing for a different tribe, we want to make sure the gift gets placed and finishes before we ally the other tribe. We're going to do the save and quit trick again. We're going to do it for each of these first 4 tribes. We save and right-click the ground, and we have to skip through the cutscenes before we quit out to the main menu. We see for a moment there that after the cutscenes play, we have everything unlocked. So when we quit out and go back to the previous save, that's before all the cutscenes played, so we don't actually unlock anything. But somehow allowing these cutscenes to play before we quit out, Spore remembers that these cutscenes were played, and they won't try to be played again. If we're doing the save and quit sequence, and we save, and then we quit out to the main menu before allowing the cutscenes to play, when we load back up the game, the cutscenes will still play anyway. So make sure when you're doing the save and quit trick that you allow the cutscenes to play first before you quit out to the main menu. Because if the cutscenes play at any time, all the instruments will be unlocked. Going over to Cyan to ally them, we still need our 3 instrument band members to play. We're also going to gift Lavender. Lavender had a really good spawn right next to us, so thankfully we don't have to travel too far to get there. Since Cyan can only request wooden horns, we can just spam 1 on the keyboard. There goes our gifting tribe member over to Lavender, and hopefully they can gift in time before we ally Cyan. To ally Lavender, we'll need 4 instrument players. We won't be able to ally them with only 3 instrument players, so we'll keep this gifting tribe member nearby, then allow the rest of our tribe members to catch up. And they'll be able to perform for Lavender with all 4 band members plus the chieftain, and that'll be able to finish tribal stage. Just finishing up the gift in time, they are ambivalent, and on normal, they have a 4-minute timer before they lower their relationship again. So as long as we can start allying them before 4 minutes, we should be fine. On easy, that timer is a 6-minute cooldown. On normal, it's only 4 minutes, and on hard, it's only a 2-minute timer. So if you gift their food pile and don't gift them directly, they'll lower their relationship pretty quickly on hard. It can be pretty overwhelming if you feel like you're gifting them and it doesn't feel like it stays neutral for very long. It's because it's only 2 minutes before they get angry again. But thankfully the 4 minutes here on normal, we got plenty of time to walk over to Lavender and have them perform and ally them. We can ally them with only 4 instrument players, but there is an epic in the corner, and we can sometimes get our band members picked up, so having that 5th member with us can be a good safety net. We also don't need any more food for this tribal stage, so we can leave our food pile open for wild animals to eat. All we have to do is ally this last tribe, so they can ask for 4 instruments at a time, and this 12-member tribe is the only tribe that asks for 4 instruments at a time. So having at least 4 instrument players here, we'll be able to match how many instruments they request. Because if we have less instrument players than requests, we won't get as much progress on the performance meter. We want to make sure we either exceed or match the number of requests with our instrument players. And since we have 5 members, we are definitely going to match or exceed the requests. In this tribe they can ask for 3 or 4 instruments at a time, and I believe on easy they can even ask for only 2 instruments at a time, but on normal they'll only request down to 3. We don't need to do the save and quit trick anymore. It doesn't matter if we unlock anything, it'll fill the progress bar and we can move out of tribal stage and into civilization stage. Advance out of tribal stage and into the city hall editor, and we can choose any city hall from the Sporepedia. We are also going to make a speedy tank. We can choose a part with just speed, hold Alt to copy, and click 6 times for 7 total parts, and that will give us 45 total speed, and that's the fastest vehicle we can make. And we'll of course switch between fast and powerful tanks when we're trying to capture another city, but we want to start out with a fast tank to capture as many spice geysers as possible. That tribal stage went super smooth, about 24.5 minutes in this loading screen is a pretty solid time for normal, and now we're moving on into civilization stage. We got the watchful parent achievement, no one in our tribe died thankfully, and we're going to capture as many spice geysers as possible on the land and in the ocean. On normal difficulty, the other cities spawn a little bit faster than on easy, but it's always the same pattern of spawns. Like this is the first tribe that will advance into a city, then the other large city on our home continent will spawn, and it's the same pattern, it just happens a little bit faster. And on hard difficulty, they all pretty much spawn immediately as soon as we buy a vehicle or claim a spice geyser. But on normal, it gives us a little bit more of a grace period than that. Sending our tank to the far spice geyser, but being careful to avoid that epic. And there's the first city spawn. It is a little bit faster than on easy, but thankfully it looks like all of our tanks were able to capture all the spice geysers on the land before Brown Nation even had a chance. Even though they spawned a little bit faster here on normal, they still couldn't get any of the spice geysers. The spice geysers will be pretty important because we're not going to place any buildings in our cities. We're pretty much going to rely on just the spice geysers income, and maybe the income of a few buildings of the other cities that we capture. Here we'll have 4 tanks capture this first city. That should be pretty safe, and we're going to switch to powerful tanks, now that we don't need any more speed. We're going to switch to powerful tanks so we can capture this city as fast as possible. Looks like Red Nation there spawned on the minimap, and it looks like they were just about to get to that water geyser, and we just beat them to it. So we got to make sure we get those spice geysers on the land and in the ocean as fast as possible. If we're not quick enough, the other nations can steal those spice geysers. There we go, the capturing is pretty quick. Looks like one of our tanks got destroyed, but that's fine, we'll buy more tanks and head on over to Purple Nation. We'll switch back from powerful tanks to speedy tanks. We can buy 3 more tanks, plus the other tank we had capturing the spice geyser on the far side of the continent. That guy will meet us over here. And we'll have 7 total vehicles to try to capture this economic city on normal difficulty. They do develop their cities a little bit faster than on easy as well, so we want to make sure to have a few more tanks than we normally would on easy, just to make sure we capture. And we'll still switch back to powerful tanks. And 7 tanks might be a bit overkill to capture an economic city, but that's capturing super fast. They're trying to get a trade route. Nope, we're going to capture you instead. No trade routes allowed. And capture, we'll stick with religious, and we'll go back to speedy tanks, and we'll capture Red Nation. We'll make sure we get as many tanks as we can, and we will capture this other city here on the bottom right corner. That's the next city that's going to spawn on the other continent. We'll switch back to powerful tanks as soon as they arrive. This planet layout is actually pretty predictable, since there's only 2 major continents, and the other continent only has up to 3 different coastal cities. It looks like we have the 2 other coastal cities will spawn on the other side of the continent, so it's good that we can scout out where we're going to capture, because there's a little bit of randomness on where the cities can spawn. And now we can make sure we can know where all the city positions will be, so we can change our strategy accordingly. We'll make a big group of boats to capture this close coastal city, then we'll use these boats to go over and capture those 2 other coastal cities. Once they're done, we want to try to get onto the continent as fast as possible to start sending our tanks onto the land. So we'll have our tanks advance from the west side of the continent, and have our boats capture on the east side of the continent. We'll switch to powerful boats as well, since they develop their cities pretty quick on normal, but this should be all the boats we need to capture all the coastal cities. But this one is a pretty late spawn, so we should be able to take advantage of them not having too many buildings. Checking out our competition, got some other large cities on that continent, and we captured our next city. We'll do a double switch, go back to speedy tanks and to speedy boats, and we'll send our boats to capture those 2 coastal cities, and we're going to buy as many tanks as we can. We're actually going to capture this small cyan city here, before trying to attack the other large cities. The large cities might actually resist our 7 tanks, but capturing cyan should be pretty easy with our 7 tanks, and give us a bit more time to generate a little bit more money to make an even bigger tank army. But we're still going to switch to powerful tanks. On easy difficulty, I definitely would have just gone to the north and take out one of those bigger cities first, because they're a little bit closer. But on normal, we'll take a slight detour to fight cyan first. Switch back to speedy tanks, and that should give us a little bit more money. Yep, 3 more tanks. And that should be enough to capture these large cities. Since on normal, they place in a few more buildings and resist our capture a little bit better. Looks like the boats have arrived and they're capturing green. And as soon as the tanks arrive, switch them also to powerful tanks and try to capture the large city. The boats have a pretty easy job. They only have to capture 2 small cities, and they already got their first one. And we'll move them on over to the second small city, and that's why I didn't build any more boats for them, since they only have 2 small cities to capture, but these tanks have 2 large cities to capture. But thankfully the capture bar is still going up nicely. We still got a lot of tanks, and then once we capture Blue Nation, we'll switch them back to speedy tanks, and we'll send them over to Forest Nation, which is the last large city. We'll send over our tanks, and buy a bunch more tanks to help out, and send them over as well. The boats are making pretty good progress on Pink Nation, and it looks like all the tanks have arrived, so we'll switch those to powerful tanks. Hopefully capture that as quickly as possible. The Pink City will probably be captured first. Yep, there's Pink. So hopefully Forest will be captured quickly or surrender. Looks like Forest is actually pretty well developed, and they're actually on the move and trying to attack us. Yeah, they're actually attacking one of our cities. I don't think they'll be able to capture this city in time, but we'll put some resistance, put some tanks in the way. We've got a lot of tanks, and it's not actually capturing that quickly. They actually have a lot of buildings in their city, so hopefully they surrender soon. The surrender should happen any second. Oh, there we go, there's the surrender, and that finishes Civilization Stage without even buying an aircraft. And then we can go into Space Stage. Gonna build our spaceship, just take any old ship there, then move on into Space Stage. Mid-30 is also pretty good for normal difficulty. We have still a pretty good pace. All we need to do is reach the center of the galaxy. Starting up Space Stage, we can bypass the tutorial mission and head straight to the planet with the crashed spaceship. We weren't going for any specific archetype for this run, but thankfully being adaptable out of Creature Stage, it gives us the faster spaceship, so that should save us about 30 seconds traveling between stars. We became a diplomat for this run, so we have the static cling, but we won't need to use the static cling ability for this run. For the first 4 stages, we were looking at each stage individually to see which result on the timeline gives the best outcomes for the next stages, without having to worry about which archetype we would get. That's why we chose to be Omnivore out of Cell Stage, since Cell Stage is the fastest as Omnivore and gave us the Summon Flock, so it's like a win-win for Cell Stage. In Creature Stage, the fastest route was to become adaptable, because it was pretty fast to be social at the beginning and combat at the end, and being adaptable gives us the faster spaceship, so that's another win-win for Creature Stage. Then in Travel Stage, we were social, which is the fastest way to complete Travel Stage, and then we were also religious for Civilization Stage, which is also the fastest way to complete Civilization Stage. So we did each of the fastest ways to complete the first 4 stages, and they have the added benefit of helping the later stages because of those outcomes. And during this time, clicking back and forth to get the Frequent Flyer 2 badge, and then scanning the destroyed cities, and then we can head on back home. Then we're done with the required mission, we can go through the colony mission briefing, but we don't need to place the colony, we can just go straight to the center of the galaxy. We're going to find our first empire, and we're going to refill and get the trade route and buy the Interstellar Drive 2. And we also need the artifact in this system. The artifact will always be in this system, but the artifact's location and the artifact itself is random. Though the artifact just happened to be on their home planet, but it could have been on a different planet in the system. But I guess this actually saves a little bit of time, not needing to travel to a different planet in the star system. We can pick up the artifact, makes them a little bit upset, but that's okay, as long as they maintain the trade route, we can head on over to our next stop. And we're already heading towards the center of the galaxy. We're already done with our home planet and that first empire. We're going to buy everything we need along the way. See here, we're going a little bit faster than normal thanks to being adaptable. It's 50% faster speed when traveling between stars. Here's the other specific empire we're trying to find right here. This empire we're trying to find here is another diplomat, since they are happy towards us, so we can easily get a trade route. and that will give us the Trader 1 badge, which unlocks us the energy packs. We can also sell that artifact for 45,000 Spore Bucks, which is just enough money to reach the center of the galaxy. Since the artifact is random, there is a chance that we could have picked up an artifact that was only worth 22,500 Spore Bucks. Then that wouldn't have been enough to reach the center of the galaxy. We would then have to pick up a second artifact, but thankfully those are fairly rare to get, and we got a 45,000 Spore Buck selling price, so that should be enough to reach the center of the galaxy. It's the minimum amount of money we need to reach the center of the galaxy. It's a bit tight on fuel, so I'm being a bit conservative on the jumps, since we only have 30 jumps worth of fuel to reach the next empire following this strategy. I'm going to use all of our current energy in our reserves. We got 20 jumps in the spaceship's most basic energy reserves, and we can use up to 2 energy packs. Each energy pack is worth up to 5 jumps, so we get 30 total jumps to reach this empire. In this system is the other artifact that we could have collected if the first one didn't sell for enough. We're going to refuel and buy all the energy packs we can, say goodbye, and that unlocks us the Traveler 1 badge, which refreshes their inventory when we unlock the badge. So we can buy 1 more energy pack, and that's all we can afford, and we're down to just 2,000 Spore Bucks left. But a full energy reserve for 20 jumps, and 9 energy packs worth 5 jumps each is just enough to reach the center of the galaxy. And we're already running into the Grox, and our jump range is reduced as we reach the center of the galaxy. Still making sure we're getting as much distance as we can between each jump. It looks like they're already declaring war on us for ignoring them. That's fine. Just go past the Warmonger badge unlock, and just keep jumping through. Remember, the Grox are too slow. As long as we keep jumping past them and refueling as we go, they can't catch us. We can use our energy packs on the second row by holding Control and pressing 1 on the keyboard. Holding Control allows us to use the items on the bottom row, so using Control and 1 on the keyboard, we can continuously refuel as that's available. Just keep clicking past the Grox and we'll make it. As long as we keep driving past the Grox, they're too slow, they can't catch us. Just keep remembering to refuel with the energy packs. And there's the center of the galaxy, just gotta reach the galactic core, and we're just running out of energy. Pause to zoom in and reach the center, and there's the achievement for finding the center of the galaxy. And time will end right as the cutscene begins. And that Spore completed from cell stage to the center of the galaxy on normal difficulty in 34 minutes and 43 seconds. Thank you all so much for watching this speedrun. I'll let the Galactic Core cutscene play out if you'd like to watch that as well. And after the cutscene, we'll go through the entire timeline to see our progress throughout the game, and let me know if you want to see more speedruns in the future. Thank you all so much for watching. I'm King of Valence, and I'll see you next time.
Your heroic efforts have proven deserving, worthy of advancement to the next level of your existence. The universe you inhabit is but one of many, countless worlds, unseen but connected. Your creative efforts have not gone unnoticed. Indeed, they have spilled into these other unseen worlds, just as your world is being enriched by them. It is now time for you to join us. Join us! No, just kidding. It's not scary. Indeed, the times ahead, they are good. Really good. Some of you may ask, who is this mysterious voice who knows so much and possesses such great powers? I'm glad you asked.